Hello and welcome to How to Win the Lottery Season 7 graphic content. And really, honestly, maybe for the first time, living up to the title. Today's episode, Prison Pit by Johnny Ryan. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
This is Shreds coming at you.
Hey, Shreds, how are you?
I'm good. Do you think that this is like maybe of all the stuff that we've read, this is the most like trigger warning-y or like?
So here's my big question to you. Is Johnny Ryan an edgelord, or is he like playing into edgelord? Like, is he appealing to? Because like, there's stuff in here that he's using like vulgarity and racial epithets and stuff that like seem to just be triggering just to trigger people.
Yeah.
Is he that? Do you know if he's that way? Is he like playing? Because there's stuff in here just like, if you don't know what you're. I still think it's funny that like I had my parents buy this for me for Christmas.
I told you. Yeah.
Because you're just like, yeah. That's
when you said that, when you were like, oh yeah, I asked, like I gave my parents, like they were asking me what to get, so I told them Prison Pit, and I was just like, Prison Pit. You better hope they don't open that up and look at it, man. It's gonna be weird.
There's a dick on almost every page. But is he an edgelord, or is he just appealing to those kind of people? Do you know anything about him as like a person?
I don't know anything about him as a person. I don't really care. I
don't care either. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think that he is. Like I think he is an edgelord, but like in a sense that like.
But you like it.
He's pushing boundaries, and I think that this is not. I think as a text, this has its social value. I don't know. I think any offense that can be taken by it is offense that should be like rerouted through a critical lens of like why you're meant to be offended by it, because clearly he's like trying to offend, and I think that I think there is like reason and purpose behind that agitation, and which is something that I'm okay with.
I think it's very simple, although I don't exactly know the specific wording, but what would you say Prison Pit is about? And like, and what happens in it?
It's about a guy whose name I think is Cannibal Fuckface, who gets kicked off. Like as a punishment for something, he is dumped in a pit.
Like 300 Sparta kind of into that kind of pit.
Yeah, a pit that brings him to a planet that is like sort of like a Mad Max type planet where you have these creatures in costumes that it is like a world of almost total violence.
This, the best, we were talking about it in the Bitterroot episode, but this feels like the drawings as a kid of just like fucking wild monsters and shit. Just like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
My biggest, not regret is the wrong word. I want to read this in a version where the pages are like wet and smudgy and streaked. Like it feels like the kind of thing that like shouldn't be like pristine. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be like drawn in like math class and like it rains on it a little bit and kind of smudges.
I have like a really nice hardcover version of it that was like pretty expensive. And
like I have like the complete collection. It's not a hardcover, but it's just like, this is too nice. Like I want it to be like, I want it to be like as gnarly as the content is.
Like, and you should be reading it in like a punk club while Cannibal Corpse plays, and like maybe like you're in the toilet where there's graffiti all over the walls and stuff like that.
But it basically is he gets sent to this world, like this Mad Max world, like you're saying, and he just like fights dudes for 700 pages.
Yeah, and there is a very like kind of hard to understand for me thing where it's like there is a Yanni and a phallus, and they come together. They're like a little alien thing that has like a stinger, and they come together to create this gem thing that is what is it?
I don't know. No idea. Other than like the entire like, so there's like a dick on every page.
Yeah.
There's like something phallic or a literal dick or something yonic or something he winds up fucking.
Right. There's a lot of sexual violence, and there's a lot of genital mutilation.
But it's like it's almost like what it was building toward. Like he has to get the other part. Like it feels like a video game. It's like the two parts and they come together, and then you can like take the elevator to the final boss or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's like I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it better than that.
Like okay, so like my here's my like take on it that is like maybe a little too like thought out or something like that, it's this idea that a justice system, like a total carceral state, that is based entirely around punishment and violence. That is like, taking prisoners and putting them in a world of perpetual pain where they have to continually be brutal to survive and to like it recreates a world where of total crime. That all that does is increase violence and crime and hatred and a lot of like it's prison pit, right? So a lot of the sexual violence is playing on tropes of that we've seen over and over again, and that people joke around about. Like how much do you remember in your life people joking about prison rape, like over and over and over again, right? There's a name of a Tool song called "Prison Rape." There is a joke in that movie Beer League where I think it's Artie Lang yells, "Oh, I used to fuck guys bigger than you in prison," and so like it's playing on that idea, and ultimately to me, like what it's saying is, in a world where justice looks exactly like crime, like what hope is there? What can you look for? And like you can reflect that directly back into the real world and the way that we treat anyone. I mean, people who have committed crimes, but also people who haven't committed crimes and are subject to violent authority in any way, right?
Like I think that's really, I mean, it's laid out the entire thing, but like at the end when like again, I'll just call him like the final boss is the fight, is in charge of the prison. He's just like, you're all free. Whoever kills him gets immunity for life. And they all just wind up killing each other. Because like there's, because they all want to be the one to kill him. So they have to kill the guy who's trying to kill him.
Right. It's essentially like mimicking a capitalist market in which people are self-destroying and destroying in order to chase this unattainable goal.
Yep.
And even when they reach the goal, that goal kills them anyway.
Yep. And it almost feels like it doesn't get into this because like 10 pages after that, the entire planet blows up, right?
Well, I think that's important too.
Right. But I mean, like, it feels like in a way that Warden, for lack of a better word, or maybe is the Warden explicitly, would be like commended. Like, you saved so much money having all these prisoners die.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, like in the end, he just chooses destruction, which I think is kind of cool. Like it's just
the Warden gives him the option.
Yep.
Like you can live and you can escape, or like you push that button and the entire, not only we die, but everything in the universe dies.
Yeah.
Right. And his decision is like, well, I'm just going to push the button and kill literally everything, because like what we've seen to this point, and you don't get the sense that if he escaped, he would go live a life of pleasure, right? He would go live a life where every single time he talked to someone, he ended up killing them and
also maybe a commentary on prison life.
Right. Yeah. There's no like recidivism is off the charts because when in prison, you learn how to be brutal.
Yep.
And he chooses death for not only himself and for the Warden, but for everyone, because that world is not worth saving.
Right. The world that this exists within feels like hell, like it's hellish, but it also feels like they're not invincible, like they're not invulnerable, but it feels like they are sort of superhero leveled up. Like if he falls like hundreds of feet or whatever, thousands of feet.
Right, there's
to,
like
survive.
knives go through his head, and then he'll like pull them out, or like someone will gut him, and he'll like just put his guts back in. He's covered in blood for the entire thing.
Yeah,
and when he's cleaned up, he cuts his own head so that blood drips back over his face.
Yeah,
so like he has a blood mask the entire time.
Which kind of rules.
Yeah.
What's also really weird, I don't know if I can find it in here. It might be the cover that you have. Like, so this whole book is black and white. Like it looks like someone like literally on like a note, like it's not like lined, but like just like doodled with like a black pen, right? Mm-hmm. But like there's covers of this. There's art out there that is in color, and I'm like, this. I didn't know. Like I flipped through it, I knew it was black and white, but like I made the art for this before we read it, and like it feels so weird to me to look at like the Prison Pit cover and be like, I don't want to know like what he looks like color wise. Like it feels like black and white is like how he should exist.
That's all wrong.
Like there's this art that I'm not going to use anymore. I'm going to replace it. But like it's a white dude with the blood all over him, like killing a green goblin thing. And like I don't want that. Like I want like just everything
It should
is
be
like
the stark contrast between black and white. The blood is black.
like it almost feels like, oh, that was, I guess, the book one, like the first like collection or whatever. It almost feels like, and I don't want this either, but before he gets pushed into the pit, like the upstairs world or whatever should be in color, and then the pit is just black and white.
Yeah.
But like maybe it's too on the nose or whatever. But it feels like down there, like there is no life, there's no color, just death.
I mean, and this might be a financial decision too, because it's so much more expensive to print in color than black and white.
Sure.
As well as an aesthetic decision. You get the sense that Johnny Ryan is an aesthete, right? Like that he is like, he could be doing something much more commercial than this, but like his heart of hearts says, no bros, no mercy, complete and total slaughter, right?
Which is a line from this that you quoted in your original Goodreads review, and then when I was reading it, I'm like, that's gonna be the pull quote for this, and I saw your Goodreads review, I'm like, cool, like it's the best line.
Yeah, for sure. It's.
I mean, there's other good lines like, your cum is killing me,
or I suck at tentacles,
or initiating mind sweep, refocusing thought systems, calibrating Cocktronic component, mechanized seminal energies, merging bind boner computer, complete.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's like, it's funny in a very like, I don't know. Like if this had gotten to me, I mean, I love this book, but if this had gotten to me when I was like 14, it would have been my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah. So
it may be a bad way, actually, honestly, like maybe like now that I'm like an old man, this is like I can look at it through like this faded academic lens and be like, oh, it's actually about the restorative justice. When like in reality, it's just like the like lizard brain part of me is like,
fucks things and kills things.
It's like, yeah, I liked it when he stabbed that guy in the face with his dick.
His dick power's off the charts.
And actually there's something like that you may have noticed in like the back half, not even the back half, maybe the back like eighth of the book as he's killing more and more people, is that his like crystal dick is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes. Like as he's killing more and more people.
He's getting horny from his murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like also like obviously there is the view of this, like you can sit down and dissect it from like looking at toxic masculinity and things like that too. Because it's like, you know, there's so much power in the violence of this, and power in like the phallus as a weapon, and like all that stuff.
This doesn't work for the art that I need for the episode, 'cause it needs to be landscape, not portrait. But like, if this were in a movie, this would precede like the coolest fucking scene in any movie ever, where it's like him against everybody in prison, just like ready to kill them all.
Yeah, which is also like playing on a classic, like
for sure,
like a classic trope of it's that scene in Watchmen when Rorschach is like, I'm not stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me. Right. The one guy fighting an entire prison. It's the Raid. It's like there's a million things.
It's every cool movie.
Yeah, like you think like this is awesome. Like it's such like a indulging a boyhood fantasy of what fighting and violence is like, that you know, but it takes it further than that in a way that I think is actually like ends up being critical of violence. I would, if I
do you think so?
Well, yeah, I think so. But I also suspect that if we were interviewing Johnny Ryan and I said that to him, he'd probably laugh at me.
Maybe.
Yeah, which is like fine because that's the way that it goes. Right. You know. But
why do you think that? Why do you think it's because of what you were saying before?
Yeah, because it's like this world is not like it seems cool from a distance, but like if you like put a critical eye on it and think like, you know, at the end he chooses to die instead of to escape because like the world's not worth saving. Right. Like you have to think of it from the point of view.
Well, is that like anti-violence, or is that just like nihilist?
I think it's nihilist, but like I don't know. I don't think that I think it's consciously repulsive.
Okay.
He's creating a world where you if you actually wanted to live in it, you'd be like quite sick.
Yeah, like I kind of like that we don't know what like the quote unquote real world is like.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Like we only know this hell.
Yeah.
So, because like in the first, like, again, this is like 730 pages that you can probably read. This is over exaggerating, but like you can almost read this in an hour. Like it just flies through.
Yeah.
In the first like 10 of those pages, he gets kicked in the pit. And then eventually, like, you know, with like 100 pages left, maybe climbs out. But like there's almost all this is just like underground. So there's not even time for it to really be above ground.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think you mentioned, I don't remember if it was in the intro episode or if it was just when you were like scheduling, cultivating, curating this season. Is there a connection between either this book or Johnny Ryan and that movie Funny Pages?
Oh yeah, he did the art. Yeah, he did the kids art.
One of the most deeply unpleasant movies I've seen.
Well, it's important to understand that Johnny Ryan is a legend. Like he is like a comics legend. He's not just like some guy that has a book. Like even though if you go to his Instagram and look at his stuff now, like a lot of the stuff that he has is like, I forget the name of it, but it's like things like, you know, my mom fucked a horse and like comics with names like that.
Well, I was looking at his wiki, like the bibliography. So like he published all this for Fantagraphics between 09 and 18. Press, by the way. But like right before that, he's got Johnny Ryan's XXX Scumbag Party. He's got Blecky Yuccarella. He's the Classic Comics Club KKK. Like it's just like he's got a lot of different stuff he's published over the course of the last 20 years.
And then he was also the creative director of Looney Tunes.
Insane.
Yeah, or something like that. I don't know if it's creative director, but it's not like he was in charge of Looney Tunes for a little bit.
He wrote Looney Tunes cartoon. It just says writer on here.
Oh, okay.
He also is this
which is like like there is a direct I think there is a direct connection between Looney Tunes and something like Prison Pit, because Looney Tunes is the violence that appeals to children.
Yes.
Right? Like the, you know, frying pan on the head, falling off a cliff. It's a bloodless violence. And like, it's the kind of violence that like, you know, causes kids to like the same way that like professional wrestling will like cause a kid to do an elbow drop on his brother off the couch when they're like
and actually hurt him
3 years old. Right. So like he is taking like the bloodless violence of Looney Tunes and applying it in like a much more adult way to this. Like,
but it's the same basic instinct.
Right. But you get the sense that like he would like to have Wile E. Coyote fuck the Roadrunner to death or something like that.
Well, now that Acme versus whatever movie just got canceled, although this episode comes out in like months, but like Max killed another almost fully done movie.
Yeah, which is interesting because they're the people involved in it are significantly more powerful than the people that were involved in the Batgirl thing. And it seems like people are much more mad about this, probably because the SGA strike empowered people and the WGA strike empowered people to actually complain about their corporate overlords.
Also because I think people are just kind of burnt out on superheroes. It's like, you know, as much I would have liked to see the Batgirl movie, but like I think people are just like, we don't need another one of those. But like this feels like
we do need more Looney Tunes stuff because like it feels especially because we're now living in a era when it seems like almost all IP stuff is geared toward 40-year-olds, and like we haven't seen any Looney Tunes-esque things in a really long time.
Yeah.
Space Jam aside, which doesn't really count, I don't think. Yeah, like it seems like, you know, we've run out of other stuff to bring back. Let's bring back Looney Tunes for the 40-year-olds. But like Looney Tunes is I don't know, man. That shit all holds up.
Well, I think there was like when HBO Max, before Max, but when the HBO Max app launched a couple of years ago, people were like, oh my God, it's got Adult Swim, it's got this, it's got that. It's like, oh shit, it's got every Looney Tunes ever. Like it felt like just kind of like this added bonus. And then they got rid of like half of it. And then I think when it became Max, they got rid of another like big chunk of it.
Well, it hurts what hurts Looney Tunes is like streamable service because I remember this is even before streamable.
I believe her name, right?
Yeah. But we rented like Looney Tunes discs, and one of the discs was just Roadrunner cartoons. And so we watched all the Roadrunner cartoons, like 2 hours worth. And it was insane to watch them back to back to back because they're all exactly the same thing.
Do you know that the first ever Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote cartoon is called The Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, I did know that.
It's a good cartoon too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when I knew that, and then when HBO Max launched, I'm like, I gotta watch this. And it's good. It's like from 1955.
Did you cover it for the podcast?
No, we talked about it on the podcast.
You should.
Is there more to talk about with Prison Pit? I know we have Egg's email, and Egg was not
I think
fond of this.
I think there is. I mean, just from a design perspective, he uses so much like blank space on the pages. There are lots of spaces where it's like, oh, I just turned through 3 or 4 pages, and every panel was just complete black.
Well, I think the black thing, but like the fading in, it's not the right word, but like the field of vision getting smaller or bigger, or like becoming slightly more black and then becoming black for a couple pages. Like it's cool. Like it's cinematic in a way that like I didn't know, but like never really thought about that still imagery could be.
Well, there's also like the ultimate evil thing, which is like similar to like the evil in like The Fifth Element or something like that, which they call the sky cancer in this, which is like this black cloud that uses the negative space to create eyes and like mouths with teeth.
It's super creepy.
Yeah, it's really like brilliantly designed. And sometimes that takes up the entire page, in which case it looks almost like this like big, like almost like Halloween-esque painting of like these 6 smiles with just like that space filled in by white, by the absence of like the black, which is the surface area of this sky cancer. And so like there's stuff like that like, you know, betrays the crudeness of the drawings. I mean, the crudeness of the drawings is in line with the crudeness of the content.
For sure.
Right. And so like that, like the blood and guts of it, I think like is presented in a like quote unquote juvenile way of like the black and white drawing and the, you know, the lack of background really, the lack of depth, all of it's like, it's very 2-dimensional. And like all of that feeds into this idea of it being sort of like the Notebook fantasy of a high school kid.
Right.
And like that really appeals to me in a way that I don't know that I can justify on anything more than like a reptilian brain level.
This is, this is not meant as a criticism, but this is like probably by far our most simplistic art that we covered all season.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Coyote Dog Girl is not that complex either.
But it's like,
but it has color,
the watercolor,
right?
like skies and stuff like that. Like, I mean, again, this One Summer is not enormously complex, but there's like grades and shade. Like this just feels like, and again, not a compliment or not an insult. Just like it feels by design like this is going to be like this is just like again, the wet dream of a high school boy or whatever.
What other stuff do you think that this book is in conversation with? So this is like as the question that we would ask Johnny Ryan if he were here, like we'd ask him what he would recommend if a person were to read this and if they would like other stuff.
I mean, in your Goodreads review, I think you mentioned Brawl and Cellblock 99, which it just feels like it's all the things we were talking about before. It's like the rate is just like, do you want to see like one dude just fuck up a bunch of dudes?
Mm-hmm. And then Mad Max feels obvious too, from a character design standpoint, right?
Yeah,
and a sort of apocalyptic world standpoint.
I'm trying to think, like, there's probably a bunch of stuff. Because I think it's like anything that's like anti-society almost in a way.
There's also, I mean, if you think of, there's like, of course, like Kelly Sue DeConnick's Bitch Planet, which is like a very different, because that's like a super like agitprop-y feminist take on this kind of material.
So you've mentioned it before. I don't remember what it looks like though.
Yeah,
let me see.
So I mean, it doesn't look like.
But it's that. It's that kind of feel.
It's like all like women are on like a prison planet.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's similar to like other prison escape movies, right? Because essentially this is a prison escape movie. It's just instead of using like craftiness and clever, it's like about brute force, right? So like it's Lockdown, where it's Escape from Alcatraz, but it's like. And it's also similar to Lockdown because he's got to escape from like a thing and get out.
Well, I think also there's definitely, and you know, not just Lockout, but like if there's like sci-fi elements like with like the lunar rover kind of like thing descending. But yeah, it does, like we've talked about, I don't know if we talked about it here, but you said that one of your most consistent types of movies is like gambling movies.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
They're not always fun, but I think like prison movies are usually really good too.
Because it's like there's such a baked in formula, right? Like you have the authority, which you know you're not on the side of.
Yep.
The prisoner, which is an anti-hero through the value of us knowing that they are incarcerated, right? Even though they might be wrongly incarcerated. And then there is like a system that they have to develop to like get, like it's very similar to a heist movie, like built in the opposite way. Like whereas a heist movie you have to like build a team to get into something and have a like really complex plan. It's the exact same thing, just in the opposite direction.
Have you seen or heard of it's a Canon Films like Golden Globus 1985 movie Runaway Train?
With John Voight.
Yeah.
Weren't we just talking about that?
Maybe. Have you seen it or no?
Yeah.
Because we just watched it for Too Fast, So it starts with a prison break,
Mm.
and it ends with John Voight choosing destruction, where he just like no, I'm going to try to crash this. Spoilers, going to crash this runaway train into a nuclear reactor and kill you and me. And
Yeah,
like
it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, so like it's this basically, sort of. I mean, there's elements of this in that, or that in this, or whatever.
Yeah, plus like John Voight kills all those people with his dick.
He's like, this dick sired Angelina Jolie, now I'm going to kill you with it.
I think that movie probably came out before Angelina. No, maybe not.
1985. She's definitely-
85. That's that late. Wow, I thought that movie was like 70s.
So what's even crazier about that movie, and we'll stop talking about that movie, is that he and Eric Roberts were both nominated for best.
That's right, Eric Roberts.
Best acting Oscars.
Yeah.
For that
well,
movie.
Eric Roberts rules. Like that guy is
Not in that movie.
No, you don't think so?
He's got a deep Southern accent to the point where it's just like this is a comic.
Eric Roberts has the tendency to overdo it.
He's also been in like
I'll
he's
say
made
that.
75 movies this year.
No, but that's because
I know.
he's like
I know.
he's got problems.
I know.
Like all people who end up making 75 movies in a year. Like he's got, but like there was a time when he was like,
Cool.
I don't know, but like I know like Mickey Rourke always talks about him as someone who, like when Mickey Rourke won the Oscar, did he win the Oscar for The Wrestler?
I think so.
He won something for The Wrestler. And like in his speech, he was like, people gave me a shot. I want you guys to give Eric Roberts another
Really?
shot. And like nobody did.
Well,
He's also Julia Roberts' brother
yeah.
and Emma Roberts' dad.
Is Emma Roberts' dad?
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
I do think that like there is something about like the being inside has broken me so profoundly that I can't imagine a life on the outside, and I would rather be dead and kill my captor
Yeah.
than try to like just have the idea of possibly living free.
Yeah.
Fucked up. Sad.
Plus, like the Holocaust brothers is like such like a Running Man concept.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh no, now they're going to get the Holocaust brothers. They're coming out. They're going to get you. And the crowd is just like, not the Holocaust brothers.
There's the guy whose name is Undigestible Scrotum, and at one point he goes,
Yeah.
"You digested
Yeah.
my scrotum."
Of course, like that's a real Chekhov's gun moment. It's like the second this guy is like he's got an undigestible scrotum, that scrotum is getting eaten and shit out.
Well, I told you, like, as I was reading this, like, I was looking for art, and there's the one where, like, the small creature starts jerking off and coming so much that he becomes a gigantic cum monster that then absorbs our hero, and then he fights his way up. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
where do you come up with this?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like probably a first thought, best thought scenario.
I also do like that there is a line that I screenshotted. Computers suck shit, because the suck shit is our, our running thing. Yeah, I feel more powerful than ever. Even my dick power is off the charts. Holocaust brothers all day, bitch. No bros, no mercy, complete and total slaughter.
Yeah, it's like, he's indulging a very like id component of himself, I guess, but like the readership for sure.
I think there is something, like first thought, best thought, whatever. I think there's something fun where just like there's those things where it's like 24-hour film festival or whatever, where like in 24 hours you're supposed to like write and shoot and edit and whatever. It just feels like you just like, all right, fucking Holocaust, brother. They're just like, well, let's run with it and let's just see like where that goes.
Yeah, he's also doing something that's like super metal, right? It's like when you have like a band that's called like Christ Killer or something like that. It's like they're probably like sweet guys who have families.
It's the Edgelord thing, right? It's just like I know there are people out there who like are hungry for this. I'm going to make money on it, and also like I think it's funny. Or
I'm going to indulge this part so that it can become something.
Yeah.
And again, I think like all of the like when I apply any kind of academic filter to this stuff, I fully embrace the fact that Johnny Ryan would laugh at that and just or like roll his eyes at it at the very least. But that doesn't mean that it's not there. It doesn't mean that there's not like
he also might appreciate it, but like he just will also laugh in your face about it.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that there's not like even if he's not doing it intentionally, there is still like a component where it's like, we live in a society.
Okay, George Costanza.
We live in a society. We live the world in which we live has presented us with like a sort of unending stream of prison and violence, and so like that can't help but bleed into the art world, which like inevitably comments on it, even if that commentary is self-consciously juvenile. In a lot of ways, self-consciously juvenile stuff hits us with much more powerful ideas than stuff that is consciously academic, because it's a Trojan horse.
Mm-hmm. You want to read the eggs email?
Yeah.
We also have another email we're not going to read.
You don't want to read that?
Do you want me to read it?
No, you don't have to.
I can if you want.
Anyway, this guy, his name was I think Ryan.
It's not. Do you want his real name?
I don't care.
Okay.
He was very critical of Joey and me a little bit, but Joey got the brunt of this.
In what seems like he listened to 5 minutes of one of our episodes.
But he was trying to. He was like, I'm going to try to keep my constructive criticism. It
starts off with, this is an honest attempt at some constructive criticism.
Yeah, and then he like is very pedantic about like how the questions that Joey were asking were not the questions that David Markson was interested in, and how when reading something, it's not really up to you to ask questions. It's up to what's up to you is to determine the author's intent, not to determine your intent in reading the book and then question the author about that, which is like sort of fascinating, because it's like you think that like your duty as a listener to a podcast would be to determine the podcaster's intent and not foist your intent upon the podcasters, which is, no, fine. I actually like, I in some ways, like I agree with, I actually in some ways agree with what he's saying about that. I don't remember that conversation well enough to know if it was an accurate,
also, who gives a shit?
Yeah, if it was an accurate thing about you. The guy was like kind of a dick about it in the way that he was.
Oh, he was totally a dick about it.
In the way that he was saying it. And then he ends up by going, cheers, fellas. Oh, his name's Kevin. That's right. Cheers, fellas. Kevin. It's like, all right, Kevin.
He also recommended we watch Michael Haneke's Cash.
Yeah, that guy. Okay.
Which is like, yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Not a small movie.
Let me tell you about a little tiny film by a man named Michael Haneke, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy that like 10 years ago everybody was obsessed with, and every like film bro like started shitting their pants over. It wasn't that movie though. With that
Funny Games?
No, it was. I think The White Ribbon was the one that everyone started really going crazy about. But Funny Games, yeah, he remade his own movie in English.
Yeah,
and then the one scene in Cash is I think it's in that movie. The kid like kills a chicken or something with an axe, and the blood splatters on his face, but it like gets in his eye, and the kid like still is like looking in the camera after the blood has hit him in the eye, and the blood like drips down on his eyeball. And it's like, I've always been fascinated with that scene. I'm not going to listen to Michael Haneke's commentary like this guy suggested.
Oh yeah, he wanted us to watch the movie and then watch it again with the commentary so he could understand artistic intent. And he doesn't. The reason is so that you could learn that the artist doesn't always have to explain themselves. It's like, dude, we're dissecting books here. Like, what the fuck? Anyway,
he also had a real problem with like, I think you self-identifying as a white male. Like he was like, what do I care that you're a white male? I'm also a white male. I don't have to go put in my white maleness on everything. It's like, well, but you already are. That's like kind of the point.
Also, only white males are recommending Michael Haneke films. So like, fuck off, dude. Or as we said in response to him, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to dunk on us, lottery at cageclub.me, we'd love to hear from you. Meg's reaction to Prison Pit.
Yeah.
I did not like this graphic novel.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I knew that Meg was not going to like this book.
It was not to my taste.
Sure.
Although it was so short, this might have been my least favorite thing I've read for the podcast.
It's her Giles Goat Boy.
Yeah. What's your Giles Goat Boy? No, I mean, you pick everything, so you like everything, but...
I don't like everything.
Prep?
No. Keep going. I'll think of it.
Some of the quips were kind of funny, but I mostly found the characters to be annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the point, though, right? Like, they're all supposed to be like...
annoying, but like they're like definitely unpleasant.
I will say I thought the illustrations were effective. The use of just black and white worked really well for what the novel was doing because it blurred the line of blood/grime, and it also worked really well for the various transitions. All in all, I don't plan on recommending this book to anyone.
It would be funny if she did, though. It'd be funny if you did, too. If you just like brought this book to yoga and was like, you gotta read Prison Pit.
I know you guys want a book club, may I suggest Prison Pit?
You gotta read Prison Pit.
Gotta read Prison Pit.
Do you know that that SNL sketch with Scarlett Johansson where she's like a chandelier saleswoman and she's just going like, look at this one, look at this one. And then Fred Armisen is just like, you gotta get a chandelier. Like they're really trying to sell chandeliers to people. I'm imagining myself in a store, owning a bookstore, and everyone that comes in is like, you gotta get Prison Pit. You gotta get Prison Pit.
They're like, Prison Pit sales are up 85% and no one knows why.
And then my bookstore goes broke because nobody comes back to it because they're just
because all you've bought is
that guy recommended Prison. I'm never going back to his bookstore again.
Every book in your store is Prison Pit, so you can have no repeat customers because you only sell Prison Pit.
Yeah.
Do you know your least favorite book or no?
My least favorite book. It might be. It
was the Andy Weir one. Yeah. Because it was one of the 5 books I've picked for this podcast.
That book stunk.
Keep reading.
Today's crime is crime itself.
You got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful